Join me for the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gonna get a roll call?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. First on tonight's agenda is a public hearing on the BAM property subdivision variance requests. Counselor?
Notice is hereby given by the town board of the town of Patterson of a public hearing to be held to consider the application of BAM properties for variances to Article 8 of the Town of Patterson subdivision regulations for property located at 540 Bullet Hole Road, tax map number 23-2-46. Now therefore pursuant to section 138-53 of the Patterson Town Code, the town board of the town of Patterson, New York will hold said public hearing on the aforesaid requested variances at the town offices 1142 Route 311, Patterson, Putnam County, New York, on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. in the evening of that day, or as soon thereafter as may be held, at which time all persons interested therein shall be heard. The town board will make every effort to assure that the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and a reasonable accommodation should contact the town clerk.
Like to introduce yourself and your client? And
Certainly. Good evening. William Angelillo from Han Engineering, behalf of BAM Properties. The property we're talking about here is 540 Bullet Hole Road. It's a 25-acre parcel. We are proposing to do a 4-lot subdivision, which satisfies the base zoning. The property is also in the open space overlay district. As part of that overlay district, the property is required to meet the cluster development requirements, which would require 1 to 2 acre properties. Excuse me, as part of the proposed subdivision, we felt that the cluster subdivision does not work on this site, given where the limited areas for septics. So we are proposing a traditional subdivision. So we are seeking a variance for lot area. We're also seeking a variance for lot count for the open space overlay. There are 2 methods of calculating lot count. Method 1 yields 5.8 lots. Method 2 would yield 3.5 lots, which would round down to 3 lots to be conservative. So we are proposing 4 lots here, seeking that variance. As part of this application, we are putting 72% of the site, a little over 18 acres, into conservation easement to meet the intent of the open space overlay district. As part of that, we're preserving the wetland, the water stream corridor and its buffer, and much of the steep slopes on the site.
could you do me a favor?
Sure.
Could you turn that map so the public can see it, since we're having a public hearing and we can get it on camera?
Sure.
A little bit more, a little bit more. There you go.
Lot 1 over here is 5 acres. So over here we have proposed lot 1, which is 5 acres. Proposed lot 2, which will be 4.1 acres. Proposed lot 3, 5.6 acres, and lot 4, which is the remaining 11 acres. The dark green represents the area that will be in conservation easement. To develop the 4 lots, there'll be a temporary construction disturbance of approximately 2.8 acres, which is represented by the white area. The light green area would be the non-conservation easement area, which will not be disturbed during construction. After construction, much of the site will be restored, such as the septic areas will return to grass. The applicant's proposing to save as many trees as possible and keep disturbance as small as possible.
I would ask that anybody here in the meeting room that has any questions or comments on the application, if you would approach the mic, state your name and your address for the record, make your comments or questions. Hearing none, I'll turn to our audience joining us by Zoom. If anybody joining us by Zoom wishes to make any comments or ask any questions, if you could unmute, state your name for the record as well as your address.
Hi, this is Stacy Dumont, 368 Bullet Hole. How are you?
Good. How are you, Stacy?
Good, thank you. My question is, do the driveways lead up, are they on Bullet Hole Road? Are there 4 driveways on Bullet Hole Road?
Yes, 4 driveways will be accessed from Bullet Hole Road.
Did you hear that, Stacy?
I did, thank you. And is there any need to do any work on the road and the highway? I'm sorry, on the road in order to have good sight lines, et cetera?
Certainly, as part of the application, we are proposing to improve the sightline for the driveway at Lot 4 by doing a little regrading in the right-of-way along the what we call that, the southbound lane of Bullet Hole Road.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else joining us by Zoom who has any questions or comments? Does anybody joining us by Zoom have any questions or comments on the current public hearing for a variance application for the BAM Properties, Inc.?
Nope, no questions.
Okay. I do have one question. You're proposing to create a little over 18 acres and a conservation easement as dedicated open space.
Yes.
Do you have any plans on what that might be used for other than keeping it the way it is in a natural condition?
We have not worked out the details of what that conservation easement will, the details of what it would look like, other than the intent is to preserve the natural environment in that area. So we spoke with the planning board about this. We were before the planning board several times before coming to the town board. One of their objectives was to maintain a wildlife corridor from the Great Swamp across towards Bullet Hole Road to the other side of Bullet Hole Road. So by preserving the wetland corridor, the steep slopes, we are maintaining that corridor of continuous.
So okay, that's very good that they're doing that.
Yes.
My concern is that looking at the 4 subdivision lots, I would imagine at least 2, if not all 4, of the property owners eventually might have a horse or 2 out there. And I don't see that as a stumbling block by any means, but I want to be sure that we're talking about within the conservation easement area. You might fence that in to use it for agriculture, but nothing past that.
Certainly, the applicant is open to working with the town to determine the details of that conservation easement.
Okay. All right. Sure.
So the areas of where the conservation easement property comes very close to things like driveways or, well, driveways, and I'm speaking specifically about Lot 4. When you come in the driveway to the right on the map, you have the conservation land is very close. Looks like only maybe 10 feet or so off the edge of the driveway. And again, on Lot 2, where the turn in the radius, I guess, to turn into the garage, those areas I just think would need to be demarcated in some way, because it looks, maybe it's, I'm only looking at a small map here, but it looks very close to the edge of areas that are being used by people. And so I would foresee it where people would want to extend that use. And I just want to make sure that probably the conversation occurs with the planning board about how that land, as Rich said, is going to be used, but also how it's going to be delineated.
Certainly, for lot 2. It's close because it follows the 100-foot wetland buffer.
Okay,
So that was the thought process there. On lot 4, it's just on the other side of an existing stone wall, I believe, which is how we came up with that
Okay.
line.
so it's a natural.
So we tried to
delineation.
follow stone walls and existing wetland buffers. Certainly, there are ways of demarcating it, a fence or a series of boulders. You certainly,
Well, sometimes even we have, like the wetland demarcations are just simple tags that go on some of the trees. Maybe they can do something like that. If it's a natural demarcation, it's always a concern that we let prospective property owners, when the house is built, and I don't know if these are being built specifically for people or spec homes, but regardless, that people know, okay, from this point, there's sensitive areas, if you will. And I know based on the topography that we're dealing with a lot of steep slopes out in these areas.
yes,
But I think people, when they buy property, you know, they have this idea that I own all this and I can do whatever I want. And in this case, that's not necessarily true.
correct.
So I just wanted to kind of get that out there for somebody to consider when going through the process and finishing up all the aspects of the conservation easement. But
Certainly,
I do want to say that I think that this comports with the character of the community. I think that it does maintains the intent of what the code is looking to achieve, which is protecting, as you said, some open space and some wildlife corridors. So overall, I'm very supportive of what you're proposing.
thank you, of
Just wanted to ask those questions. Thank you.
course.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
The 18.55 acres, that's the conservation easement. Is there any other unused land there? Is that the total of the unused land?
That is the total of the conservation easement area. As I said, for temporary construction disturbance to develop the lots, will be about 3 acres, let's say, 2.8 acres. That difference in between there will be undisturbed, but will not be conservation easement.
Okay, about how much acreage is each home proposed to receive?
We have it calculated down there. It's not an even split across the properties. We tried to be as even as possible, but
Is
I
it
don't have the
two?
exact
Like,
breakdown, but
It doesn't have to be exact. Two,
It's in the resolution.
I was looking for it. Okay, it's about 2 plus or less than 2? Each
Two.
home?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
I was just curious as how much acreage each home will have.
There's the acreage right
Oh,
there.
I'm
No,
sorry.
what
Okay,
she's saying is outside of the conservation easements.
Yeah.
If you take the delineated areas of each lot, what does that
all right.
represent?
So one home will be 4.14, one will be 5.1. Okay, and do we have an idea of what the homes will be going for when the project is completed?
the applicant's proposing modest styled homes, raised ranch, split level type homes,
Oh,
similar to the
Very
other
nice.
homes on the Bullet Hole Road.
Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
Anyone else?
Hi, this is Bob Dumont, 368 Bullet Hole Road.
Hi, Bob.
How are you? So just a couple of questions. Do the properties, the homeowner properties, do they go down to Muddy Brook?
They go down to the railroad tracks.
They go down to the railroad tracks. Okay, so is there anything on those properties that doesn't allow them to, I guess, develop down there, put a shed, put a trail of some kind? Or is that free access? Because that's pretty much on the wetland there, those tracks.
True. So currently there is not, But when we get into the details of the conservation easement, there will be limitations placed on what they can do within that easement. That'll be worked out with the planning board. So the town board understands the process. Once it's all worked out with the planning board, it still has to come back to the town board for approval.
Okay, but I mean, that's on the conservation part. I'm talking on the 3 homeowner lots.
No,
There's nothing.
There's nothing. Okay,
Nope.
so obviously they would do whatever they like. And I think you did mention that the septic setback was the 100 feet from the wetland.
Bob,
Yes.
you're misunderstanding. When we said there's nothing, there's no property that isn't conservation easement that, in other words, the areas of disturbance don't go anywhere near the railroad tracks.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
there's a huge buffer around these steep slopes that go down to that railroad
I got
tracks.
Okay, okay.
Hundreds of feet.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Welcome.
anyone else? We'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we have a second public hearing on a proposed local law that will amend our vehicle and traffic law. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor, you want to?
Public notice is hereby given that there has been introduced before the town board of the town of Patterson, New York on August 9, 2023, an amendment to Patterson Town Code, Chapter 150 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, which amendment will amend Section 150-6, Stop, Yield, and Restricted Intersections to provide a stop sign at the intersection of Newport Road and Sharon Road. Now therefore pursuant to Section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, the Town Board of the Town of Patterson, New York will hold a public hearing on the aforesaid amendment at the town offices 1142 Route 311, Patterson, New York, on August 23rd, 2023, at 7:00 PM in the evening of that day, or as soon thereafter as may be heard, at which time all persons interested therein shall be heard. The town board will make every effort to assure that the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodations should contact the town clerk.
So as you said, this is to install a new stop sign at the intersection of Sharon Road and not Newburgh,
Newport.
Newport. Sorry. I would ask that anybody who has any questions about this, if they would approach the mic, give your name and address for the record, make your comments. Questions? All right, hearing none. Once again, we'll turn to our audience joining us by Zoom. If anybody joining us by Zoom has any questions about this local law or comments, if you would unmute and state your name and address for the record. Hearing none, any board member have any questions? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. Would somebody like to audit some bills?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve abstract number 15 dated August 11, 2023, in the amount of $210,666.62. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You budget transfers, any fund transfer?
Yes. We do have a request for a fund transfer of the Dorset Hollow Water Capital Project engineering services to the capital fund. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the interfund transfer for the Dorset Hollow Water Capital Project in the amount of $150,000. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have budget adjustment request number 13 for to allocate funds to the engineering review contractual accounts for additional costs. I'd like to increase the engineer plan review $5,000. Do you want the numbers?
We can give them
Okay.
numbers if you like.
Sure. Okay. Increase 211.6.300 by $5,000. Increase planning board escrow charges 211.6.010 and $5,000. Increase 1441.400 engineering review contractual $5,000. 1441,410, engineering review contractual escrows $5,000. I'll make a motion to approve budget adjustment request number 13. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have budget adjustment request number 14 to allocate ARPA funds to the Dorset Hollow Capital Water Project. Water capital project, capital outlay for engineering contract. I'd like to increase A 4089 federal aid and other 150,000, increase H 5031 interfund transfer, $150,000, increase, those are revenue accounts, and increase A 9950.900 transfers capital projects, 150,000, and increase H 8397.200 water capital projects, capital outlay, $150,000 expense accounts. I'll make a motion to approve budget adjustment request number 14. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, budget adjustment request number 15 to establish the CME training accounts for the EMS department. I'd like to increase A 1640.455 ambulance CME training income, $900 to the revenue accounts, and decrease A 4540.400 ambulance training by $1,100 and increase A 4540.455 ambulance CME training expense accounts, $2,000. Make a motion to approve budget adjustment request number 15. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have budget adjustment request number 16 to allocate additional funds to cover the emergency repairs to the water system. I'd like to request an increase SWA.0599 appropriated fund balance by $2,425 revenue accounts, and increase SWA 8310.200 water admin equipment and capital outlay by $2,425 expense accounts. I'll make a motion to approve budget adjustment request number 16. So
Second.
moved. Oh,
Sorry. The pause, I'm sorry.
sorry.
All in
I had to
favor?
take a breath.
Aye.
Aye.
I wondered that you did it.
And the final budget transfer request number 17 is to reallocate funds to the special counsel traffic court account. I'd like to decrease A 1420.440 special counsel contractual by $11,800 revenue accounts, and increase A 1420.445 special counsel traffic court by $11,800 expense accounts. I'll make a motion to approve budget transfer request number 17. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I know why Charlie's not here.
All right, we just had a public hearing on a local introductory law, number 3, vehicles and traffic. And to move that, we have a resolution in front of us, local law number 5 of 2023, which would install a stop sign at the intersection of Sharon and Newport. I'd like to move the resolution and ask that it be entered into the record as though read. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, as you're all aware, we had an unfortunate occurrence a few weeks back where we had a car strike the flagpole at the Maple Avenue Monument. We finally got some pricing in to install a new 30-foot flagpole. The low bidder was Gates Flag and Banner for an amount of $4,243, and I'd like to approve the expenditure to Gates Flag and Banner in said amount to install a new flagpole at Maple Avenue. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Quick question on that. Not on the paperwork, but
There was
we
more to
ever-
come. Go ahead.
No, did we ever know who hit the?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
No, we did. We did.
All right.
And it's going through insurance, and hopefully we'll get reimbursed for our expenditures, because we have to also replace the bollards out there. We are working on getting that, and we need to replace the one Alberta spruce that got hit. And the other one is pretty much outgrown its, site there, so we need to replace both of them, actually. That's what we're working.
Thank you.
It was nice of the residents that did clean that area up, because it was looking pretty shabby up until a couple weeks ago.
I agree. And I like to thank Kenny for doing that. So We have a couple of things here with the ALS and billing practices. So Mr. Kearns, our EMS administrator, is here tonight, and he and I met with Frank Orlando to try to come up with a game plan for addressing the request by the county that we compensate the new ALS service provider, Empress, to, for their ALS runs. And they are looking for, at this point, a short-term contract till the end of the year in the amount of $298. Presently, what we're billing, that's not achievable. We had that conversation, but we came up with a game plan, and the first step in doing that is to change our rates. Proclaim says these rates are generally in line with other ambulance agencies in the area and what they're charging. Does anybody have any question on the rate change? Okay, I would like to make a motion to change the rates for our ambulance service for a BLS 1 call from $950 to $1,500, for an ALS 1 call from $1,450 to $2,200, for an ALS 2 call from $1,450 to $3,000, and for mileage charged at a rate of $20 per mile, we're going to increase that to $35 a mile. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, one of the things that when we met with Proclaim is if we are increasing the rates, insurance companies, they like to negotiate. We currently have a policy that Proclaim is limited to 10% on the reduction for an insurance claim. And they're looking to have that removed. They are also looking to stop having to chase after requests for refusal of medical attention claims, the RMAs. We're not making a lot of money on it. And they gave us a draft policy, which I think I provided to everybody. And I incorporated that into our current policies. Anybody have any questions? Any of that?
Just as to clarify the refuse medical attention, that's when when the ambulance shows up, then the patient doesn't want to go to the hospital, they refuse, they sign a waiver not to go. So just to clear that up.
That is correct. All right, I'd like to approve the Town of Patterson ambulance billing and collection policy dated August 23rd, 2023. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the last thing, Counselor, we need to pull you in onto, and that's the agreement with Empress.
Mhm.
And if I can find the concern, you have it in front of you.
Yes.
Okay, if you go to number 10. So number 10 says either party may elect to terminate the agreement at any time, providing formal written notice to the effect 30 days prior to the date of termination. And that's all fine. That's standard language.
Mhm.
Goes on to say the town of Patterson should be responsible for services rendered by Empress up to the date of termination. This agreement may be terminated due to failure of negotiation and or agreement with an annual rate increase, change in law that frustrates the purpose of this agreement, or failure of the town of Patterson to pay invoices as agreed. Does that second part of that paragraph limit when the town of Patterson can terminate this agreement?
It doesn't eliminate the ability to terminate it on 30 days. Because that's that's an election that it allows you elect to do it. But this, I believe it's a little bit inartfully worded, and I would suggest we make some changes to it. But I believe that last sentence is supposed to apply to like an immediate termination for failure, like a termination for fault, essentially. But I would suggest that we make some changes to it just to make it clear to everybody.
Okay,
So the 30 days, I believe, is and termination for no cause at all. And the language in that last sentence, I believe, is what they're saying when you terminate for cause and would essentially be almost an immediate termination. But then we would still want some notice. So I think we should just clarify it to make it so there's no questions in the future.
All right, and Bobby, you had one other, did you not? Or did we clarify that? Okay, all right. The only other thing I want to point out is, this agreement is, the effective period of this agreement starts July 16th. Well, we're not gonna start July 16th and owe them a ton of money for ALS intercepts that we didn't have an agreement for. So we need to pick a new effective date, which can either be Monday or September 1st, or whatever anybody is comfortable with.
September 1st.
September 1st?
That'll give you enough time to clean up the language and,
Do we have coverage up until September 1st?
We have ALS coverage in the town.
Okay.
It's still responding.
Yeah, just because we don't have this agreement doesn't mean that they're not responsible for covering our
Okay.
ALS response.
Okay.
the almighty buck.
Yeah,
So I would go with September 1. It's just cleaner.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. We will send it back to them.
You need a motion for you to be able to execute this.
Oh, yes.
The changes. I mean,
Yep.
Well, tonight, I mean.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because the next meeting is not till September 13th. and We do need to get this going.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the town supervisor to enter into the ALS intercept agreement by and between Patterson and Empress Ambulance Service for a period of September 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, pending the modifications to item number 10 with input from the attorney, town attorney. So moved.
second.
All in favor?
I
We worked very hard to try to come up with a solution for a problem that was handed to us, and I think we've done a fairly good job, but we're gonna have to pay very close attention to this because we are making some assumptions on, the rate we're going to be reimbursed as far as, patients and Medicare and Medicaid, and the difference between, so. As this approaches January 1st, we may be right back in a situation where we can't follow through for next year. You have anything you want to add?
I think this give us the benefit of I think this would give us the benefit to deal with this from September to December, and we can hopefully work on a solution for the years to come. So while it's not the greatest solution, it is a solution for right now.
All right, Mary, you're up.
Okay, so I have a building and maintenance request for a vehicle service. There's a non-bid procurement request form here. The low bidder came in for a tires and New York State inspection for their truck. The low bidder came in for Ingersoll for $1,026.12. So I'd like to make a motion to approve in the amount not to exceed more than $1,050 for Ingersoll to perform the tire change and New York State inspection. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh. Okay, subsequent to our public hearing on BAM properties. Just have to find what I did with my resolution. Wow, papers here. Okay, in favor and support of the public hearing for BAM properties, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the variance from chapter 138 for the BAM property subdivision on Bullet Hole Road and enter this into the record as though read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Peter?
All right, first I have several EMS requests. First one, I have a resignation letter from Brennan Froud. We have a memo here. A notice says his formal resignation as an emergency medical technician at the town of Patterson EMS effective immediately. So I'll make a motion to accept Brennan Froud's resignation. Brennan's been, actually, he's been one, I think he was one of the original
One of the originals.
members. So thank you for your service. He is moving on to other professional services. So he's resigning. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I have another resignation letter, unfortunately, from Emily Abbott Tan Tuono. Where's Charlie when you need him? Right? She is resigning effective immediately as an EMT with the town of Patterson due to her full-time employment with the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. So Emily, thank you as well for your service. Make a motion to accept Emily's resignation as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a couple good news now. We have Abigail Weisendecker has completed her civil service requirements and has been added to the Putnam County certification of eligibility list. So I'd like to make a motion. We do have a resolution here to hiring her as a permanent part-time EMT. So I'd like to make a motion to enter this resolution into the record as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have another EMT that has completed all his civil service requirements, Michael Brill. So I'd like to make a motion to accept this resolution into the record as read to hire Michael Brill as a permanent part-time EMT. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a request from Robert Kearns, our EMS administrator, requesting that the assistant administrator, Jennifer Hunt, attend CPR instructor training session, which was actually held yesterday. The cost is $400. I'd like to make a motion to approve the cost of $400 for Jennifer Hunt for her the CPR instructor training that she attended. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I have we have a memo here from Bob McCarthy, our building inspector. Unbeknownst to me, earned vacation time is lost if you carry over more than 4 weeks over the earned time for that year of service. My anniversary date just passed, and upon review of my pay stub, it was noted that I lost 10.75 hours of vacation time. Due to the understaffing and the volume of the work of the building department that the building department handles, vacation time is sometimes difficult to manage. I am respectfully requesting the 10.75 hours to be reinstated, as I am now familiar with the town policy. I will adhere to the vacation days accrued. So I believe it's his time. I'd like to make a motion to give him the 10.75 hours of vacation time. So
Second.
All in favor?
Question? Could I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't have knowledge of this. Is this in the handbook?
It is.
Oh, okay. And how many years has he been employed here?
That I don't know. He was building inspector before I came here.
9 years, building inspector,
Oh,
9
okay.
years.
I would say. 9 years. Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. I'm in favor. Aye.
that's all I have.
Okay, next up, we have a request from our Patterson Historical Society. They have an event where they bring people around and show them the historical significant areas of Patterson, and they want permission. We do this every year to allow, in this case, Ron Taylor, access to the town hall lobby on Sunday, September 10th, so that they can show off some of the displays in town hall, specifically the Revolutionary War display. So I'll make a motion that we allow that access to Mr. Taylor on Sunday, September 10th. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Next up, we have a request for a senior trip to Mohegan Sun on September 14th, 2023. This is for 56 of our seniors, and the cost to the budget is $760. I'll make a motion. We approve that request. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have, it's always sad to see somebody go, but it's good news for Frank Grady. We have a letter of an intent of retirement for Mr. Frank Grady, who is our current foreman for the town of Patterson Sanitation Department. He puts the request in effective September 15th. Frank has been a dedicated and loyal member of this employee of this town for 34 years. And, we go back to, you remember, Pete, our conversations when we were looking at options for garbage service in the town. And one thing that came out was that our residents, especially those that are served in this district, really valued the service that our town employees provide, and were willing to pay, to be honest, willing to pay double the amount of what it would cost to have the outside contractor. And Mr. Frank Grady was one of the leading reasons why I think we have such a great feedback on our town employees in sanitation and highway as well. But Frank has always done an excellent job of providing the very best service to our town residents. So I'm very happy for Frank, and I will make a motion that we approve his letter of retirement, and with an effective date of September 15th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And with that, we have a request from our acting sanitation highway administrator, Ed Foster Jr., not only commending Frank on his years of service and stating that it's going to be difficult to replace him, but that Tyler Whitcomb, who is been in the department for 7 years and shown some really great leadership and dedication to the town, he would like him upgraded to fill Frank's shoes as the foreman. So I make a motion, we approve Mr. Foster's request for Tyler Whitcomb to be promoted to foreman for sanitation. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And is that effective September 15th?
Yes.
Presumably?
Yes. Okay, other business. I have two things. Now that we've done the budget transfer for the CMEs, our controller is asking, we have a voucher here from Lexipool for the EMS One Academy, which we use for CME online training. And we need to approve the transfer of the new we need to approve the voucher in the amount of $1,730.40 and assign it to the training account, which is A 4540-455. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the second issue we got late in was from our attorney.
If we can discuss an executive session.
Do we need to discuss anything in executive session? Because we previously agreed that a contractor did not perform accordingly. We came up with a settlement, which was negotiated, and the town board just needs to approve the settlement.
That if no one has any questions on the proposed settlement, then we certainly don't need to go into executive session.
I'm not clear what we're talking about.
Okay.
This is in regards to Front Street and WSP.
The original contract that we had.
For designing. Yeah. For the design work.
Is that good?
Thank you. Yes.
Mhm.
Mary?
So we were talking
good.
code. I didn't really
I-
understand what we were talking about.
WSP is the name of the
Yeah.
company, so.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
So, have you had a chance to look at the terms of settlement, which are pretty straightforward?
No, I haven't.
Wanna take a moment.
Just gave it to me.
I know. We just got,
So,
I would feel comfortable going into executive session just to get more clarity.
all right, we can do that.
So the executive session would be for legal.
Thank you.
Okay, when we get there. All right, anyone else have any other? Oh, yes, I do have one more other piece of business. I got a phone call today. The town board has been invited to be on the viewing platform for the Patterson Fire Department Parade this Saturday at 3 p.m. Viewing platform will be in front of the library. You can all make it. That would be wonderful.
thank you.
And that is it for me. Anybody else have any other business?
Really good weather. I think Saturday is gonna be good weather.
Yeah, it's
so
supposed to be.
Nice. And
Which,
that's
which
the,
would be unique for the Patterson Fire Department, unfortunately, because they have a
Yeah.
tradition, of rainy days.
that's very true.
So.
Yeah.
Glad it's working out for them. All right, public recognition. Any member of the public joining us here tonight have any questions or comments? If you would approach the mic, state your name for the record.
One at a time, please. Take it easy.
Don't crowd. All right, hearing none, if we'll turn to our audience joining us by Zoom. If there's anybody joining us by Zoom that has any questions or comments for the board, if you were to unmute, state your name for the record. And your address.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second,
Or legal to discuss a settlement.
Yes, exactly.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.